Now let's talk about evaluating limits, which is going to be most of the work you will do in your calculus class starting off. You're not going to be necessarily given a graph, although you could graph a function and see what that looks like, and then see what happens as x approaches a particular number. But that's a lot of extra work. We have a certain cycle of things that we try when we evaluate limits. And the first is what we're going to be doing here. If I want to evaluate the following limits, the very first thing I always try to do is whatever value x is approaching, I just substitute that in. Because, a lot of functions are continuous, or at least continuous for the vast majority of the x values, in its domain. There may be a couple x values where it's not continuous, and that's something you have to kind of keep aware of. But most of the time, most of the functions you're looking at are going to be continuous for most x values. So we just look to see, well, is it continuous? Or we assume it is, and we treat it that way. And if I actually get an answer, then I know it was. So what I do in an instance like that, the very first thing I try when I evaluate a limit is just put the number that I'm approaching in for the x. So for instance here, I'm going to put 4 in the place of x, which gives me -1 to the third power, which equals -1. So since that is a numeric value, I don't have any issues with it, that's the answer. So I actually did f of 4, but since f of 4 here, and this function actually is continuous at 4, I know that the function value and the limit as x approaches 4 are the same thing.